We are celebrating our launch of Volume 2 of Curtis's Fire Safety and Activity Book. First of all, I'd like to welcome Minister of National Security, Mr. Keynes, the PS, Mr. Anderson, Ms. Glanisha, the Chief, members of the Fire Service Advisory Board. We also have families of the late Mr. William Glassford, the late Mr. Stephen Bluey Lynham, the late Mr. Michael Fruity Roberts, the late Mr. Michael Gibbo Gibbons, the late Mr. Michael Bugsy Mullen, the late Mr. Hillgrove Hilly Tucker, and the late Mr. Benjamin Ben Hayward. We'd like to welcome all of you and thank you for coming. I know it may have been a while since some of you have come through the gates, but I just want you to know that the Bermuda Fire and Rescue Service family always have you in our thoughts. We have fond memories, and this celebration is to let you know that we have not forgotten. And we thank you for coming today. And at this time, I will bring Minister Keynes to address you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Firstly, I'd like to say thank you to the members of the Bermuda Fire and Rescue Services for your support last week during the hurricanes. As you know, we have been recovering from the effects of two significant storms, and the Bermuda Fire and Rescue Service has been an integral part, away from your families during critical times, and being out in arduous circumstances and performing a critical service. And I'd like to thank the men and women of the Bermuda Fire and Rescue Service. A lot of the things that we've seen going up on roofs, dealing with significant and perilous situations, and we just want to thank you for that which you've done. We appreciate you and we appreciate your team, and just want to give them a round of applause. Received a letter of invitation to come down to a CARICOM-based event in November, and they were really, really miffed at how a Category 3 hurricane and how we were able to get back on our feet within 24 hours. And when you think about it, it is actually quite amazing that after what we went through, that we were up and running within 24 hours. And so I don't believe that that is something that I think we take it for granted, that a lot of other countries go through similar sets of circumstances and they are really waylaid and off their feet for a long period of time. And so outside of being blessed, I think that we have a system in place, and we have men and women such as yourself that are rightly trained and fit for purpose, that allow us to get back on our feet, so much so that we are now back on our feet, schools back in, business are back up and running, and we just like, you know what, hey, it was a storm, bring on the next one type of thing. And so we don't want the next one to come, but we're ready, and we have a lot to be proud of. We're here to celebrate a workbook, Curtis, and the first volume was a real big success. I think what I like about the Bermuda Fire and Rescue Service is because when you look in the room, this organization is like the best of who we are, right? It's indigenous, it's young men and women of Bermuda, the best of the best, the highest standards of training. They come back, and when you look through the fire service from the top to the bottom, it is the best of who we are. I was really moved just now by learning the tributes that would be paid to the men of the Bermuda Fire Service who have gone on, and their families they're paying tribute to the families here today. And that is something that is significant. So when the young men and women collar, they learn the history and they get to pay tribute and homage to the families of the firefighters that are here. And so with the tribute that the fire service are paying to the colleagues, the generations to come can see the legacy of our brothers who are no longer with us in physically, but their spirit lives on through this experience, and that speaks to the testament of your leadership, Chief Fire Officer, and to the rest of the fire service that understand the importance of legacy in our community. Thank you for allowing the ministry to be a part of it. I look forward to the formal starting of fire services week coming up. That is a huge part of our country's calendar. I remember when I was a young man looking forward to coming here, and I think the kids in our community really, whilst it seems as if it is a fun event, it's learning. It's understanding the principles of fire safety and getting that inculcated into their psyche. And so the principles of fire safety, that we teach them the principles, so when they are in a difficult set of circumstances, they know exactly what to do to protect them and their families. And that's something that you are putting in their psyche from a very young age. So again, thank you for that. Chief Fire Officer, thank you for the opportunity. Congratulations to the authors, to the brain trust that is behind this. Thank you for this workbook and this coloring book that we've given to our young people. And my best wishes, and thanks to all of those involved. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Protocol haven't been established, and let me just establish the protocol for the mics. Let me first just say that I would like to thank the minister as well as the permanent SAC for attending and showing their commitment to help as well as show support for the Bermuda Fire and Rescue Service. And I don't want to embarrass the minister, but I want to also say that unbeknown to you, he presented a very sterling role for the EMO. I think it was his first. It was his first, but he handled it like someone with years of experience. So let's congratulate him for that. The thing I liked about his style is that it's very succinct. I don't know if you're ex-military or, yeah, okay, that should. And some of his talent, I'm actually going to use it in some of my meetings. When it seemed like it was going a little bit left or right, he said that he would stand up, and that would indicate he's in charge, and we're getting back on course. And I thought that was a great tool, because as soon as he stood up, you knew, this is not going good, but he'll put us back as far as being where we should be, as well as staying on point. And I really congratulate him for that, because leadership is the, I would say, the key when we look at setting the pace, setting the bar, that it has to come from the top. And I think in this particular situation, we had some very good leadership. And I know sometimes you're questioned left, right, and center, and that's politics. However, it's a shame that the press did not capture the leadership that he should during this present hurricane, and to be hit with back-to-back, and trying to establish when schools are going to be open, the issues of opening these schools, buses, roads, clearing, the bridges, beaches. I mean, I would have to say he had a lot on his shoulders, and he handled it very well. So let me just say, give him a round of applause for the last hurricane. Another person that I wanted to note who's actually very shy, you wouldn't know it, but he has worked, I would say, very hard. In a lot of the presentations that you would see going as far as and I see him trying to hide. Firefighter Gavin Carter has played a big role recently with these projects. Some of you might know him better as Firefighter Curtis. He has this persona where he's not shy, because he comes dressed similar to this guy here with a big white beard and big stomach. And at one time he had a rank on his shoulders, and I told him, take that away. But just come to the front so everybody can see you. He's very shy, believe it or not. But he's pushed a lot of his time. He meets with private companies. He's out there trying to pass on that fire safety message, you know. He has actually strided to, he'll talk to anybody about fire safety. He has a show, which we have during the Fire Safety Week, and he's loved by many of the children that we have. I look around, and it's funny because most of the people that we have dedicated this book to, I actually worked with. And I remember them bringing their children around. And I see them now, and the men and women. Miss Tucker, I remember when, she was so high, which embarrasses me. Mr. Roberts' 2 sons, I remember them, really proud of you guys, because, your daddy really cared about you too. He was really concerned in the direction that you headed, that he wanted you guys to be positive. And he set that positive rule, that many of our young men don't have. And now you've grown up, he will be proud of you, as proud as we are. And I even see his brother. Well, I'm not going to go on and on. I see so many people that I actually came up with. Just one more person, Bugsy, taught me how to drive fire trucks. I was very resistant against driving fire trucks. I didn't want to drive that big truck on the road. The last thing I was trained to do was drive police cars, and they're a lot easier to handle, but I was terrified of driving those big trucks. But Bugsy just talked to me, you know how he was, calm, you could do it, stop hitting the left side, But he was really a person that, we missed. These guys that have passed on, we stand on their shoulders. We were talking the other day about the types of equipment that we had. The fire jackets were thin. You felt the heat back then. I heard young firemen now talking about they feel heat. I said, no way. Those fire jackets that I had were thin. The SCBAs were heavy. We guys, when we went into fires, a lot of them were wooden structures. We took a lot of beatings, But I'm glad that we have had this time here to dedicate to Michael Bugsy Mullen. He was an excellent teacher. Benjamin Hayward, instrumental in the launch of the 911 system that we have today. Mind you, he was very philosophical. He always had some things that he wanted to tell me to straighten me out when I was a young firefighter. Michael Givens was like a father figure to many of us, very quiet spoken. If you weren't listening to him, you wouldn't have even heard him. You wouldn't even know he was talking to you. You had to get up close to him in order to hear what he had to say to you. Michael Fruity Roberts, again, extremely knowledgeable, taught a lot of us, in some ways, things that we were doing wrong. And he never shouted. I've never heard him raise his voice. Hillgrove, Hilly Tucker, again, another very quiet-spoken person. A big guy, too, strong. Very intimidating if he was in your face. And he was a gifted mechanic. He kept our trucks moving, Stephen Bluey Lynham, lovable, and had a huge impact on many. And I guess he got his name Bluey from his eyes. And of course, who could forget William Billy Glassford, the stalwart, used his ability to make others better. As a matter of fact, he gave me the nickname of Sprouty, which I didn't appreciate. But these guys were the guys that, when I walked in the station, were very, very intimidating guys. I was afraid to be able to stand amongst them. I was awed by their courage, because my first fire, I'm going to tell you, I was shaking like a leaf. When the officer saying, okay, look, go in. And I'm like, me? I was like, yeah, you, go in. But I had these strong guys to stand beside me to make sure I learned the trade. And we didn't have training courses like we have now. You came in one by one. You spent most of your time mopping the deck. And the deck is the downstairs where they park the vehicles. And I tell firefighters today, when they grumble, 4 or 5 of them, I said, I did that by myself. Swept the whole deck, take up the oil, and then mop the whole deck, and then dry it. An all-day job. Because I couldn't go to the fires yet. So then they'll come back from the fires, and they'll put tire marks all over my floor. I wasn't happy, you know. So, Fire Safety Awareness Week starts October the 7th to the 11th. The theme, not every hero wears a cape. Plan and practice your escape. Our goal is to educate the public. We have found that the students have become an effective vehicle for delivering information to the household, so we gave them something with local appeal. 2017, the first volume of Curtis' activity and coloring book was released and was very successful. The fire service is multi-pronged. Every division is represented, including the mechanical engineering and the Eastern Volunteer Division. Just a little insight about the Eastern Volunteer. I just recently went on vacation and I met with the Eastern Volunteer, and their numbers had deteriorated to about 3. I met with Mr. Lee Tucker, who's a lieutenant in the Eastern Volunteer Division, and I said, before I come back, I want you to get me 10 people. So my first day back, he came out and says, look, I got 14. I said, great, I'll see them on Tuesday, and we'll try to get them into this system as quick as possible. So when I met with him, I told him, I want each of you to get me 10 more. We're going to build the Eastern Division because this fire service needs support. We need to get those numbers back up so that when we have those hurricanes, when we have those large fires, that we have a resource that we can count on that's trained to assist us in the best way possible. Taking the opportunity to advertise also for our home safety visit program. The 2-page advertisement outlines the purpose and how to arrange a visit. So I'm expecting everybody in here to get an appointment so that we can come to your house and do a home inspection. We're not going to write a ticket, so don't worry about that. You'll be all right. But we saw a need that this service has to be community focused. You know, fighting fires is nice. However, the theme has to be that we have to step forward and prevent those fires. Recently, we've lost some senior persons in our community due to fires. It's nice to have the fire prevention week, but we've got to get to the seniors. They are valuable people to this community, and we have to start treating them as such. We have to get out there. We have to visit those houses, give them some fire safety information, because they're not coming to Fire Safety Week. You know, the focus has been on the kids. Now it's time to spread the word. It's time to visit the senior people in this community so that we can be in touch with them and let them know that we're thinking of them as well, and that we're here to ensure that they don't have those days or a day which they will come to regret or their families may come to regret. Working again, Mr. Gavin Carter, we actually opened the home safety program about 2 months ago in St. George's, and somehow what's that guy name who docks people? He wanted to be a part of that, so we allowed him to be a part of that. The sorry thing is that he wanted me then to dock people. You know, so I had to dock people, and unfortunately, you know, the woman was screaming and carrying on, but you know, I didn't really like that. So, we'd like to encourage the families to take the opportunity to go through the book together to reinforce the fire safety messages found inside. I'm saying, do we have? Yes. So, inside of the second book, you will have a contact, email contact, where you can make an appointment for us to come to your home, and we can, you don't have to do a cake, miss. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. So that we can come and just a quick whip around, some advice about fire safety. If you have too many things plugged into those plugs that you know everybody is familiar with. If you pack stuff on top of your water heater, just to give you some insight to prevent you having to have those red and blue lights up in your yard. Because that could be very uncomfortable. Isn't that right, Mr. Wilkerson? And I can tell you, being in the fire department, you don't want those red and blue lights up in your yard. You do everything to avoid it. You let your house burn down. You won't call 911. So I'm not just going to admit, Mr. Wilkes, it happened to me too. A friend of mine visited, wanted to borrow a tool, went down in storage room in my house, and I heard the smoke alarm going off. So my friend says, what's that all about? I said, somebody's probably got the new fire detection system in the house. They're probably away. Our guy's going to have to come here and wait, no key holder. These things get on our nerves, these automatic fire alarms. So he says, Birch, I see smoke coming out of your house. And I was like, oh no. Ran upstairs, had to do that low thing, getting under the smoke, got the pot, threw it outside, and he was saying, hey, call the fire department. I was like, no way. You can't have the fire chief calling the fire department. No, this is on me. So I was grabbing all the curtains and grabbing all the bed sheets and throwing them in the wash and trying to get that all washed before the wife gets him, The minute she stepped in the door, we had to fire her. I'm like, a small one, it wasn't that bad. Okay. She said, well, we need new sheets, we need new pillowcases, we need new curtains, because the smell's not coming out. I said, okay, no problem. First time the wife asked me for money, and I just said, okay. So I'm glad to have the family here. I'm glad to see some ex-firefighters, Mr. Deal, Mr. Stevens, Mr. Pierman. And these are some of the guys who used to get me in trouble, too. But, at the end of the day, yes, I went to school with Miss. Got you. But at the end of the day, we have some food prepared by Carlos. And we thank you so much for coming. We're glad that we were able to have this event, not just for the fire department or just to get our message out, but also thank you for your sacrifices, where you allowed your husbands to come out and be a part of this family. And as you know, you will continue to be a part of our family, because you were always here. You always supported your husbands, especially during hurricanes when they were away from their families. Nobody actually understands that our families go through it alone, and that's hard on them. The other night when I was leaving, my wife said, do you have to go? And I was like, yes, I have to go. He said, well, you're the chief, you don't have to go. I said, no, I have to go. I'll see you later. But thanks again. I think what we should do is try to get a family picture. I don't know how we can get all of you up here.
I make the presentations too.
Oh, you got to make presentations first? Okay, let's make the presentations.
That's not part of the show. That's not part.
No, it's not for you. Oh, they don't know what to go.
Coming from an electrical outlet at number 6 Auckland Lane, over South Road in Ward. This is opposite the Bermuda station.
Nobody's address here. I know the wives are used to probably hearing that, because of the many years that station alarm has not changed. That was been here since when I was started. So we're going to do a presentation.
So I guess unanimous.
Okay. Okay. Who this is for?
Marlon.
Mr. Mullins' family? Thank you. Okay, just in front, get a picture. You got it. Mr. Glassford's family. Robert's family. Gibbons family. Tucker family. Oh. Hayward family. Yes. Firefighter Steve Lino's family. And I know Mr. Curtis doesn't want to say anything. Yes.
Afternoon, everyone. Again, thank you all for supporting the launch of the second volume of Curtis's activity and coloring book. Curtis is hot stuff this year. Remember, October the 7th through the 11th, that's when the show starts. Get your tickets, because they are going fast. I really would like to, show, on behalf of the service, our appreciation for, the men that we've dedicated this book to. They were the mentors that I had when we came in '96. And let me tell you, they instilled knowledge, they instilled wisdom, they instilled leadership in us in a way that you just cannot replace. And for that, we will be eternally grateful for those guys. There wasn't a single one of them that you were not you wanted to come to work with these people. They made the 15-hour shift worthwhile. They made the 9-hour days worthwhile. We will feel the impact of their loss. It's something that even though we haven't, and I think Ms. Francis said it in the beginning, even though there has been a time that has gone by, but we've never forgotten. We've never, ever forgotten. So we want to extend our love as the fire service family to you. We know that, we hope that you would know that. Our doors are always open, and this is something that we want to continue as we go forward. The chief has expressed his desire to take the service in a new direction when it comes to the community. And what better community could we have than the family that have served alongside with us? So again, we just want to say thank you. We have refreshments, so we can continue the discussion as we partake in some light refreshments. It's just light refreshments, it's not full lunch. So don't go all ham on it. But again, we thank you and enjoy.
And he said it's shy. We're going to peel it away. So let's go get some refreshments. And again, thank the minister and the permanent SAC for their attendance. Thank you, as well as the families.